everybody today? Not as good as Rasmus Dahlin, maybe, but go ahead.
How complicated was this deal to, finally get to where you are now?
Yeah, these are never easy because you're dealing with a lot of different discussions over months, and like I said to you maybe a few weeks ago, this is such an important deal for both sides. You want to make sure you get it right. So we worked hard at it over the summer. There was a lot of back and forth. There's times where went to Toronto to his agent's office and was in person. Met with him at the draft in person. Just a lot of kind of honest dialogue and trying to understand each other. And Rasmus is a very mature, thoughtful person, and so he was certainly asking a lot of the right questions. But at the end of the day, this is a really exciting day for us. I think we are in a position where we have a player in his prime years that's committing to this organization for the max term that you can. And now we know we have a player in Rasmus Dahlin that we think will continue to get better for at least the next 9 years. And I think it sends a big statement to our team, our organization, our fans, that the commitment that the Pegula's made and what he means to this organization. So it's really exciting.
Given the way that you're building this, Kevin, the number of RFAs you have this summer, some guys that I know that are important to you, what benefit is it to have clarity on what the cap hit is and how much you have to work with not only next year, but the next several years?
Yeah, I mean, it's really important, Lance, because you're putting a puzzle together, and you're looking at, when we do this, we obviously look at 1, 2, 3 years, but we're also projecting out past that, and you have to. And nobody knows exactly where the salary cap's going to go, although most agents think it just will keep going up, but nobody knows. So you have, the more certainty you have of where your salaries are structured and how you're building your team, gives you more opportunity to either add from the outside, or whether it's making a trade or signing a UFA, or internally your own guys. So if you're not dealing with all the information, it can make it more and more challenging. So for Rasmus to make the commitment to us and us to make the commitment to him for 8 years, especially when you're seeing more, especially elite players, look to do some shorter deals, really helps us in terms of our planning, for sure.
Not to ask you about specific negotiations with this, but when it comes to just any negotiation in the last couple of months, how did that uncertainty with the salary cap sort of play into maybe talks? Because like you said, nobody knows, but the projections are what the projections are. And
yeah, you look at it, and when we build out our own models and stuff, we're building those projections in. If the salary cap, obviously there's CBA rules in terms of what the cap can go up from year to year, so you're kind of guessing, but things can change, so Rasmus is obviously represented by very experienced agents. They know the marketplace very well, and Donnie Meehan and Craig Oster, they're very good at what they do. But at the same point, what we're trying to get across to Rasmus and to others that we negotiate with, we're also trying to build a team around the player and give ourselves the opportunity to be set up for sustainable success. And that's critical, because I don't look at one player or one contract. I'm trying to think about this in totality and how we build this moving forward. And Mark Jakubowski does a great job, from the assistant general manager, of really knowing the marketplace, projecting out contracts, and so I want to make sure to give him a lot of the credit. He does a lot of the heavy lifting with us.
From your perspective, what's happened on the ice? What's happened to Rasmus in the last couple of years? Because he settled down, and then 2 years ago, maybe December, he took off, and he's kept getting better. What's happened?
Well, I think Rasmus Dahlin was a number 1 overall pick for a reason. Elite talent. Just the stuff he can do on the ice, you guys see it every day, is rare. So coming in the league at 18, I think you feel a lot of that pressure, and you want it to all happen right away. And this is not an easy league to play in, especially at 18 years old, especially as a defenseman. So I think there's just part of that process you go through, and learning and maturing. But Rasmus Dahlin is high character, high work ethic, all the things that we look for off the ice too, in terms of what are they doing to help themselves become better every day. And when you have the talent he has, and then you have the other things, in my mind, it was just a matter of time before, you know, Rasmus broke through and became, you know, the world-class player he is. So I just think it's part of it, part of the process that he had to go through, and also, you know, who's around him on the team, and, you know, what's the talent level and all that. That all matters as well. This isn't an individual sport, you know, so he needed to be supported appropriately in my mind, especially as a young player, and will continue to be. So, but now he's in a great spot in his career. He's got experience, but he's still young. He knows the league, but I still think, you know, right now he's kind of entering those prime years, and, you know, that's why for me in this negotiation and for us as an organization, it was so critical to get his max deal if we could, just because, you know, we want him here for as long as we can possibly have him.
Kevin, when you look at the last 10 to 15 years of all the Stanley Cup teams, they all seem to have that one stud Norris Trophy level guy. Clearly, you're making the statement you think Dahlin can be that guy here. How important was last season for him to make that determination that he can potentially be that role that we've seen in so many other teams when you get to where you want to go?
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, Mike. I think Rasmus last year took a step in all areas of his game. You know, he's clearly gifted offensively and as good as it gets in terms of the ability to run a power play and to produce offensively. But what I saw, you know, maturation of him last year was being physical, being really hard on opponents, being able to play against anybody, whether that's a highly skilled line or a more physical line, and you know, just being able to settle into being comfortable with the type of game that night might bring too. That might mean a more wide open, fast game and skill, or that might mean, okay, this is a game that's going to be more physical, and he's able to go and do that. I think that's a really important, you know, part that he matured over the last season, and showed that he can really be that guy that can play 30 minutes a night if needed in every situation. So that's why we were certainly comfortable with where we were, where the negotiations were going.
You guys have clearly made a strategy to identify your core, sign them long term. You haven't won anything yet. You're going in that direction. How important was it for you, just from a makeup standpoint, to get to know all these guys, to determine that we're going with these guys even before we start winning?
Yeah, it's critical. I think for me and my job and the position that I'm in, I have to have a comfort level that I believe personally in these guys as individuals. You see talent, you know, anybody can see talent, but you have to dig a lot deeper than that. And for me, there's a few things that I think about when you're talking about long-term contracts. It's what is the character of this person? Are they going to wake up every day, regardless of what they're making, and put the work in to get better? Do they have a true passion and love for the game that, you know, regardless of where they are in their career, they're just gonna love coming to the rink? These things matter, and so this is just another step in the process, and another step in kind of the plan and the vision that we've laid out. Really truly identify the core of this team, really truly look at the people that want to be here and want to be here for the right reason, and identify that and reward your internal group. And that's what we're going to continue to be focusing on, and do it one by one. And so Rasmus, Tage, Dylan, Sammy, these are guys that obviously we've extended along deals. They check those boxes, but kind of to circle all the way back to your question, if I can't look these guys in the eye and have a comfort level that I can go to Terry Pegula and say I believe in this player for these reasons and committing to them long term, then that's tough, right? I have to have that comfort. That's why I need to get to know our players. I need to understand them on a personal level. I need to understand how they're wired, what they're about. So that all goes into it for me, for sure.
I know you're dealing mostly with the agents and something like this, but when it finally gets to the finish line, what's that moment like with Rasmus? I know he's a pretty level-headed guy, but what was it like personally, just getting it there?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that question, because going through these negotiations with any player, but especially in this situation where you're talking, this is the biggest contract in the history of our franchise and one of the bigger contracts in the league right now, and you know, they're tricky in different talking points. And so you guys know me well enough now that I talk to our players every day, and that's never going to change even when you're dealing in negotiations. No, I certainly don't get into the weeds or dollars and all that. That would never put a player in that situation. They have agents, and that's part of the business. But I always do talk to them and make sure they understand organizationally what we're doing and why. And so communication is regular. But then the phone call Saturday night that I had with Rasmus was pretty special, and it's one of the things that is incredibly rewarding about this job when you can hear it in the player's voice, and the feeling you get that when that happens is hard to kind of sum up, but it's pretty special. And I think part of the reason it's so special for me is because I believe in these guys so much. But it's hard to get there sometimes, but then when you do and you agree, and then that phone call happens, it's exciting.
Kevin, when it comes to the concept of building around your players, as you discussed, having this out of the way, how much easier does that make Owen Power's situation going forward?
Yeah, I think I'm not sure if it makes it easier. We've continued similar all summer, been having conversations with Owen and Pat Brisson at CAA, and obviously as I was complimenting Newport Sports and Rasmus's agents, Pat Brisson's as good as it gets in this business, knows the market, understands. He's been through a lot of these, and so we've had tons of dialogue back and forth, regular, especially over the last few weeks, and we'll continue that. So I don't know if they were in different situations, a little bit in their career, obviously, with where Rasmus was, and a little bit older, a little more years, closer to a UFA, all that stuff. So it's all part of it, but we'll continue to have the conversations here with Owen.
With him and his age, since he is so young, would you prefer to be able to get him for 8 years, or would you prefer, hey, maybe it's better to, get something in the middle?
Talking about Owen, yeah. Yeah, so for me, what I think is critical is that understanding, making sure the player understands what we're looking to do, and making sure that we understand what the player's looking to do. And what's been very clear in our conversations with Owen Power from the beginning is this is where he wants to be. So I'm open, but obviously when you have a player that you feel is a critical piece of your core, at his age, to have him in his prime years, yeah, of course, we'd look to the longer side. But it doesn't mean that it has to work for both sides, and I'm open to making sure that we're putting ourselves and the player in the best position moving forward. And Owen certainly knows that, and we'll keep talking about it.
Kevin, how much is ratcheted up for this year with, I think of Levi, Quinn, Turka, Power? You're still not cheap deals with that. Even Dahlin is only at 6 this year. How much more important is it to win this year, just because it gets awfully expensive starting next year?
Well, I'm glad you said that, because I've been saying now for a while, you can look at cap space and say, man, okay, this team, they have cap space, and then you can really realize how quick the cap space goes, quickly moving forward into the next season. I think, Mike, when I think about our team, I said this before, I believe that we've put ourselves in a spot that our window is open, and now it's how do we make sure we're doing everything we can, whether that's me and my job, coaches, the players, to improve every day. I don't look at it as like this, squeeze of, okay, it's this year, next year. I'm looking at it, let's make sure we're doing everything we can to be better today than we were yesterday, and then the result, as we go through this process, will take care of itself. But I do believe that if we build this appropriate, and we make disciplined decisions, and we make sure that we're disciplined in how we're putting this group together, and that isn't easy. There's hard decisions you have to make, and sometimes this past summer, there was things we really looked closely at, and then you make the decision no, because of what you just talked about, where things can go 2, 3, 4 years down the road. So that's all part of this. But yeah, I think embrace the pressure, embrace the expectations, and then peel it back to let's just get better today and narrow our focus. That's kind of how we're thinking about it right now.
But Kevin, you talk about the message, the sentence to the fans and the organization, but looking wider scope at the league, Rasmus, and you mentioned some of the other guys like Tage, Dahlin, Samuelson locked up. What message, when you see this young talent in the core here, do you think sends to the rest of the league?
I think it sends a big message to the league. And, you know, when I talk about getting this right with people that want to be here and want to be here for the right reasons, that isn't just me using words that are hollow. It's real. And you can't force someone, regardless of the paycheck, you cannot force someone to be somewhere that they're not comfortable. And if you do in some ways, you're probably not going to get the best version of them. So for me, it's critical that these guys have made the commitment. It's critical that our organization understands the commitment that ownership's willing to make. I think it sends a strong message that these are people we believe in. And it also, a player like Rasmus Dahlin and where he is in his career and making this commitment to us, I think sends a strong message to the league that this is going to be a special place to play moving forward. And that's what this is all about for us, building it the right way. So I don't think a lot about that stuff, but then after the fact, I think it helps for sure.
With Zach Benson, is this the case that 9 games, see how it goes? How are you approaching this with just given his situation, the age and whatnot?
Yeah, well, I think Zach, I probably said this at the start of training camp, and if I didn't, I probably said it somewhere before that. We want to be forced into making hard decisions, and if someone clearly deserves an opportunity, we're going to do what we think is right to help us win hockey games. And for me, Zach Benson came in from the start of rookie camp right through the last game there a couple days ago, and proved that he deserved this opportunity. And so it's just a continuation of that. I had a good chat with Zach a couple days ago. We're going to no pressure, no expectation on him. Just he's got an opportunity to now just go play and have fun, and we'll monitor it. We'll see how it goes, but we believe in him. We're excited about him, and for me, it's just making sure that we look at what's best for our team today. How do we win hockey games? What's best for Zach Benson in the short term, and then what's best for him in the long term, and that'll be how we'll kind of come to the decision over the next few weeks.
What's your level of concern of what's going on in Wenatchee, and how does that impact you going forward with Benson and Savoy?
Yeah, we certainly talked about it, Mike. Of course, it's part of the equation, but to be honest with you, it was more about what our team here and what was best for Zach as an individual and best for our team. So it's something we've thought about, but wasn't the driver, I guess is the best way to put it, of any sort of decision on either of them.
What was your reaction in general to his preseason? Just, I don't know if that's what you were expecting when you came in.
On Zach?
For him to steal some.
Well, I don't know. I can be honest that at the draft was pretty excited, and you guys saw it in my face to be able to take him. I don't know if I certainly had expectations of training camp exactly where he'd be. I believe in this kid, and for a lot of reasons. But what's interesting is he certainly has offensive talent. Everybody knows that. Everybody could see that in the draft. But what you rarely see out of 18-year-olds is the ability to play both sides of the puck, the ability to be defensively responsible. He's got a great stick. He creates time and space for himself against bigger, older players, and he did that in the preseason, not just against some lineups that were lighter. He did it against a lot of NHL players. So that's a great sign. I went through every one of his puck touches in every single game he played in the preseason to try to really understand, you see the goals, you see the assists, or you see a scoring chance, but what else is really happening when he's on the ice? And he's really done a nice job, regardless of what line he's been on, what player he's been with, of being additive to the line, meaning that might mean a play in the D zone where he makes a little smart chip out to space, and it's not just about offense. So that's what, for me, really got me to believe that this is the right thing moving forward for him, and he earned it. He's done a great job.
Kevin, will Savoy start on IR?
He will start on IR, and he's skating with the team. He's not there yet where he's cleared, but it's a good step. And Matt, he in my opinion had an amazing summer. You could see it. I mean, he was best player on the ice at rookie camp, and before the injury, in my opinion, as well. And I told him that. So he'll start on the IR. We'll see where things go, after he gets healthy. But, it was a tough situation for him. But he's attacked his rehab. He's attacked his work ethic is off the charts of all the stuff we would have expected out of him, and he's in good spirits. So that's how we'll start, and we'll see where we go from here.
As far as the 3 goalies go, it appeared like that wasn't going to happen again, and it looked like you prepared for it. Now here you are again. Just how did it get to that point, and what makes you comfortable with it?
Well, yeah, I've talked about 3 not necessarily being ideal, and what I mean or meant by that in the past saying is just in terms of practice or the reps or some of this, that's not normal to do that per se, but we've done it before. We were comfortable doing it, and I've said all along that we needed to make the best decision for the Buffalo Sabres. We believe we have 3 NHL goaltenders, which is a great thing to have. And there's a lot of conversations that I've had in the summer right up through yesterday about, options and different things. And where we are or were yesterday, we felt the best decision for the Buffalo Sabres was to have the 3 on a roster. We'll see. We'll monitor it. Obviously, there's a lot around the league, and you have to think about that stuff of uncertainty at the position and what's going on. But right now, that's where we're at. We'll continue to monitor it. Mike Bales is also someone I lean on a lot, and just talk about the flow of that in practice and what that means. And he has no concern that all 3 won't be sharp. And those are all the things that go into these type of decisions. But for at least right now, we felt it's the best thing for the Buffalo Sabres, and then we'll take it from there. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.